Going to continue on. The last part was so relevant into when you see that the world is pretty friggin' hopeless. This information that the last few tapes give you, mathematically, it's impossible for it to be hopeless. Um, I don't know if anybody else can see that from the same viewpoint I do. I do not see anything positive going on our planet. Like this work, this holodynamics, is the most brilliant shit, but the doctor's a little screwed up. Religions are doing so much harm. I mean, I can't see one person that's like, hey, there's a leader I'd like to follow. I don't see anybody saying anything that would lead to, okay, the planet's now going to be safe. Every single thing that I look at, I'm seeing hopeless, helpless, there's no point, there's too many people, the problem's too big. Religion has it as, oh, you're all going to be saved once you're dead, so they're almost like creating death. I mean, if you just sort of look at everybody's words, it's like everybody's got a death wish. Everybody's like, hey, life's short, you may as well live it and die. So that's why my personal issues, like the smoking addiction, I'm caught up in that hopelessness. And yet, logically, it's not hopeless. It's mathematically sound. I'll continue reading this stuff, but there are so many signs that it's not hopeless and helpless, but a lot of it depends on me. Not that I'm the one that's changing the world, but I'm caught up in the hopeless, helpless, even though I know it's not hopeless and helpless, which makes me, well, why should I care about me quitting smoking when, the air or the food, I mean, every single other way of keeping healthy is like out of my control. It's the corporate world, it's the government, I can't change government. But I have to believe in the change and be the change, and somehow me being the change will definitely affect my whole entire universe. I've put out hundreds of videos and they are still not my full potential. I know what my full potential is. It's like I can kind of see it, but I'm not jumping into my full potential yet, even though I know all of this shit. So that's why I know that I'm caught up in the wrong negative game, because I know it's mathematically possible. Everything is there that says we can make a shift and shift the whole entire picture. It's not too big. It is possible. I mean, this science even shows how possible. What it even looks like, what change would look like. But somehow I'm not buying into it. I'm still caught up in that negative game. So we all do it. We're all sort of caught up in that negativity mindset, and at the same time we are all still loving beings, and we came here for a purpose to live. So I think ultimately everything's going to be okay, but it starts with you. It starts with me. It starts with everybody individually. And I do think I can't give this advice to anybody else, because this is my own advice, and I personally think you're insane if you don't follow your own advice, and your advice is only meant for you. So don't be giving anybody else any advice. And it's like, I try to control myself with that one too, but it's like I can see what people's advice are, and when I throw their own advice at them, they think it's me giving them my advice when it's actually their advice. But for my advice, which is my advice to me, I know I have to spread as much information as possible. The ones that would be more interested in this would be the ones that can't afford it, which is why I'm reading all of this stuff out. Those that are making a lot of money and have their stuff, they have zero interest in change. They love the way things are going. So for me, that's my advice to myself, is that if I want world change, I got to let everybody know as much information on how change is possible. But that's only my life purpose. Once that's done, guess what? My life is going to have to take a totally different turn. My passion, my life purpose seems to be all about this. I've spent my whole friggin' life researching this stuff out. I found exactly what I'm looking for. I know exactly what I'm supposed to do with it. And once I've sort of accomplished that job, then it's like, what next? Life is always changing. Life is a river. I have zero clue what's going to come up after this, but I do know at the end of the day, mathematically, this is possible to make a global shift. So I'm going to keep reading for anybody that's really looking for answers. There is 7 freaking books, so don't get too caught up in one aspect that may appear a little boring, but it builds up. It's a learning process, that everything is related to everything else. At the end of the day, this thing is curing all illnesses. If we want to understand the answer to healthcare, this is the new healthcare. So it's also the new economic system. It answers everything. So I hope people will still keep reading or keep listening or buy the books. I would love to actually create a documentary on this, similar to like with the belief. So I want what I can see that would really change the whole friggin' planet is this information needs to be put with coolest graphics, because we're visual people. We need to actually see how this stuff relates to our everyday world. And if we can see it, then I think we've impacted. I don't think too many people can actually retain information from reading. So anyway, I'll keep reading. The quantum computers, this is referred to as the core processing. The equation for one cycle of memory resembles the following. T equals 3.24 trillion qubits. T equals 1 over 2Ta plus 1 over 2TB. And then the next line is 1 over 2Ta equals 3.24 trillion bits minus input stimulus divided by 2 plus input stimulus. 1.5 2TB equals 3.24 trillion qubits plus input stimulus divided by 2 minus input stimulus. So T equals basically plus and minus at the same time, because they're both plus and minusing the exact same thing. So T, it's just, there's like no processing involved. It seems that it's just it's a setting for plus minus at the same time. Anyways, packets of information or harmonics of information and consciousness would resemble oscillons. In Ban Howard's homepage, a movie on oscillons is on the internet. Okay, check this address out. http://chaos pbu/home.htm, not L. I don't know if that's still on the internet. This book is several years old, but The efficiency of the core processor due to the quantum computation of its interesting value to holodynamics. Hempfling, 1998, recognizes the energy concerned in quantum computation. Some are worried that current efforts by others have put more energy into the quantum computational process than has been received as information from the efforts. A ratio of energy in divided by energy out, or 1:1 ratio, would be ideal for the quantum computation system. While it is claimed this upper limit is reached by the core processor, microtubules have a much more efficient system. Since a single molecule string can transmit both information and energy, the quantum harmonic of a single holodyne can renaissance in such a way as to draw energy from 0 point within a quantum field. In this way, once an updraft choice is made, the holodynes associated with the choice can draw life energy into the biological system from the quantum field, transmit this energy to the holodyne, which then transmits its informational energy into the biological system via Frosler's frequency. Thus, entire process is enhanced by the biological system via food intake, photosynthesis, and other symbiotic relationships, thus giving the quantum dynamic of corresponding anchoring effects in physical reality. In computers, an effort is usually made to overcome limits in a binary environment by increasing CPU speeds. This provides an illusion and comfort zone that is the correct way to create a quantum computer. Parallel computation also supports the illusion of progress, yet these are only simultaneous binary calculations. How effective can a system be if it only works on one calculation at a time? The goal in quantum calculations is the interaction of trillions of qubits at the same time. This goal simulates microtubular calculations and is said to have been accomplished in some cases as in core processor, which is what human life does. Is we never really deal with just one thing at a time. We're always dealing with a lot more things going on at the same time. That's like if you're driving, you're paying attention to rules as you're driving, while having conversations, while thinking about where you're going, or thinking about your day's events, and experiencing what just happened to you. I mean, there's so many things going on with you at the same time that to write out your story of this is what I'm thinking first, and then this is next to impossible to describe exactly what goes on in your mind at the same time. You probably aren't even aware of it. You probably haven't even looked at that about yourself. But never are you always just doing one thing at a time. You're always doing more than one thing at a time. It is important to note that the quantum memory in, for example, a logic core processor is significantly larger than its inputs. The inputs are processed as a whole. The inputs are only a small part of the entire dynamic system. This seeded value then is ratio enhanced by using a 28 Hz clock rate in relation to a 1 Hz input rate. This means the memory rate is operating at a faster rate than the input allowed in a global interaction of information with all other information. This then allows the machine to be in control of itself 28 times faster than its environmental input. Thus, God is always in charge. In quantum potential fields, it is... Oh, I'll have to... running out of time on this tape. I hope you're enjoying this. It does get better.